Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to Howlin with the Huskies, Episode 7, presented by the Steakhouse of Helena. Crazy to think, Coach, that we're now 7 weeks into this football season, and you know as well as I do, when the season gets going, it just flies by. I mean, week after week, you get in a routine, and next thing you know, we're halfway through the year. That's where you guys are at right now, halfway through this season. And sitting at 4-1, you have to be really pleased with what your group has been able to accomplish so far this year.
Yeah, it does seem like, and especially the older you get, this is my 26th year on the sidelines in an assistant and a head coach capacity. It does seem like, you work so hard throughout the summer to get the season. Next thing you know, you snap your fingers, you're halfway through with it, and you look back like, where did it go? And every week it's just, it's just the same routine, and it just seems to fly by. But, where we're currently sitting at 4-1, with the injuries we've had, I'm pleased with where we're at. I'm concerned about this week just because it's homecoming here at Helena, and with any homecoming at any high school, as a coach, it's the worst week of the year, other than maybe handing out pads. But it's a concern for me because we're playing a football team in Jackson Olin who is very talented on defense. The one thing they can do is stop the run, and that seems, that is our forte over the years I've been here. So we've got our work cut out for us. And last year we did not handle homecoming very well, and scratched and clawed to beat Chilton County 48-41. And we're going to try to do some things different, Friday as far as with our players. But it's just a fine line between letting the kids enjoy their high school experience and homecoming, but also it's hard to make them understand, Friday night at 7 o'clock, the people that pay the money to come watch you play are expecting you to win. Homecoming is not about the team that's there, it's about the people that were there before them. So, that's concerning. But the last couple of weeks, our kids have dug deep. Last week was an unbelievable high school environment. I think Alec Etheridge, I was watching his thing today with the Shelby County Reporter. I think our rivalry with Pelham is a very underrated rivalry in this state. I think a lot of people would benefit coming out and watching it because our kids play so hard together, and every year it's close. We've had one year where we beat them pretty good, and then they beat us my first year there. But overall, it's an up and down emotional roller coaster, and it always goes down to the last few minutes of the game.
When you look at this past week, what did you feel like your team did really, really well, and what allowed them to be able to hold on late in the game and be able to get a touchdown and then be able to make a stop there at the end?
Well, I think they handled the emotion really well. We've told them, we told them after the game, there's a lot of old guys on this staff, and we've been through some rivalry games, and we try every week to kind of be honest with them what we're up against, and with a rivalry game, it's going to be up and down. When you got two teams that want to win so bad, you can have a 14, 20-point lead in a snap of a finger. You're in a fight to win the game. So I think they handled the emotion of the game really, really well. I think our offensive line did a good job. I mean, we've had a couple kids the last 2 weeks with Hunter Hale and A.J. Horsted that have stepped up and carried our football team. And Dalton Llewellyn's done a good job in the pass game. In spots, and I'm pleased to see other kids step up and take over roles for guys that are injured until we get them back. So that's what I'm most pleased about. And like I said, I think we handled the emotional roller coaster of a rivalry. I think we protected the ball and made plays when we needed to. And that goes back to winning a game like this. So we did the things we needed to do to win the game.
You mentioned Hunter Hale. Obviously, he set the school record for receptions, the game before this one. And then you would see a lot of people that maybe break that record. They get a ton of attention the next week. They don't have as successful of a week. He was still able to find ways to get open and found a way to make a big play at the end for you guys. And just talking about him, how important has his presence on this offense been now over the last couple of weeks?
Well, that's what tickles me to death about Hunter and not only A.J. Horsted. They're two kids that they always do what they're supposed to do. Day in and day out, and they got their opportunity, and they've taken advantage of it. So, I'm not necessarily surprised by him being able to do that because he's always been ready, and unfortunately for Hunter last year, he had to play a lot of defense. He had a few injuries throughout the year that, that kept him from being on the field every game. But, he was a team player, and he played on defense when we needed him to, even though he was, we wanted him to be an offensive guy, but he stepped over on defense and played a role and, had a huge pick when he came back from injury last year against Calera early in the game that kind of got us rolling in that game. But, come back last week after a school record, and he has the game-winning catch in overtime and then has the game-winning interception to end the game. So can't say enough about his character and his work ethic, and A.J. Horsted, we ran the ball basically 69 times from the tailback position in 2 games, and he's carried all 69 times. So so tickled to see those guys be successful when they've waited their turn to do that and never complained and never worried about playing time, just did what we asked them to do on either side of the ball.
Especially nowadays with Horsted being a senior, obviously he's behind an underclassman, a guy that's in the class below him. Even though he knew he was going to get carries, there have been guys that maybe would have looked for somewhere else to go and looked for somewhere else to be. That's got to make you really proud, too, in the sense that he's stuck with it here at Helena and has found his role, and then now is being counted on and being able to produce in the way that he is.
He is the ultimate team player, and I think AJ's best football is ahead of him. He is an honor student. He's going to play at the next level somewhere, whether it be Division II or Division III. And the good thing about AJ, when the season's over and we start marketing our players to colleges and universities, he has a lot of tread left on his tires. He hasn't been ran too much. I would say 69 times the last 2 weeks is borderline too much. But I think his best football is ahead of him. He's strong. He has a really good burst. His vision is an area that he's getting better at, but that comes with more carries, and he hasn't had those carries. But, we saw right out of the chute in 9th grade that we thought AJ could be our feature back one day, and he was going to be last year and went down with an ankle injury in the preseason. But he's showing what kind of back he is, and I've said it many times. We're just fortunate enough to have, a starting A and a starting, in my mind, they're both starters, and I feel good about going into any game with either one of them.
You mentioned quarterback Dalton Llewellyn, and talk about his progress as this year has gone on and how much you've seen him improve from that Chelsea game that we saw game 1 to this past week.
Yeah, the thing people forget that Dalton Llewellyn has played 5 games of 6A quarterback. He transferred to us from Victory Christian, where he played 1A football, and he ran the option for my high school coach Bruce Breland at Victory Christian. So a steep learning curve from that level to the level we're at. Plus, we're asking him to do something that he had not grown up doing. So I think the thing you see with Dalton is he gets better as the game goes on, but I think that's from his lack of snaps played. I think the more snaps he plays, the better he's going to get. And the thing I like about Dalton, he's a competitor, and I tend to get on him pretty good early in the game just because I know he's better than the way that he's performing. But, he doesn't pout, he doesn't drop his head, he just comes back and he plays and makes the plays that he needs when the game's on the line.
When you look at Friday night for you guys, obviously a very big win in the sense of you guys are looking to host a playoff game. And even if you don't win the region, if you come in second in the region, you would still get to host. How important was that in setting yourselves up to be in good position here in the second half of the year to be able to hopefully host a playoff game at the end of this year?
Well, I don't know how beneficial it was because like we've talked about, I'm not sure how good any of us are in this region. No knock on us or anybody else. I don't know yet, but I do think we're all pretty equal when it comes to what kind of teams we have. So, I think this thing could shake out in any order. I think obviously Homewood they're in the driver's seat right now, being undefeated in the region. But as you saw last week, Calera comes back and scores 20-some unanswered points in the second half and beats, Chilton County pretty good. So, obviously it keeps us where we need to be. I don't know if it gets us ahead of anything at this point because, we can't take our foot off the gas pedal when we're still looking at Briarwood and Benjamin Russell, who's having a great season, and Calera, who can score points in bunches. So, we're in a good spot. I don't know if it helped us, but it didn't hurt us. If we would have lost that game, it really would have put us in a lot of must-win situations. So it's going to be exciting to see how this region unfolds. We've got Benjamin Russell at home, but we got to go on the road to Briarwood and Calera. So, I think this one will go down to week 8 or 9, whatever our last week is playing region play, before we all know where we're going to end up in the playoffs.
When you look at this week, you talked about it a little bit earlier, but homecoming brings a lot of distractions. You know, you're dressing up at school, you're doing all this different stuff, you've got people coming back, and so is that one of the biggest keys for your team this week is not letting all this be a distraction and focusing on what you guys need to go do on Friday night?
Yeah, and it's one of the hardest things as a coach to do is to convince them that, you know, let's have a good time, but let's have it in moderation. And at a certain point at night, we got to cut things off and know we got to get back to practice early in the morning. The thing that in the past that I have not been pleased with is, you know, kids do a lot of stuff at night during homecoming, whether they're decorating floats or just hanging out, you know, but we still have to be up and be on the field at 6 a.m. where those other kids that they're hanging around with don't have to be at school till 8:10. So, you know, I worry about that. I worry about our stamina and our you know, just hydration, that kind of stuff. And I know what kind of football team we're going up against. You turn the film on them, and it's scary what they have in their front seven defensively. And they have athletes all over the field on offense. They just, for the last couple of weeks, haven't been able to get things together. But it only takes a couple of good plays, and they start getting confidence, you know. And I've told them that this week. You know, it's easy for coaches, it's easy for players to look at scores and start comparing yourself to other people, but you don't know the circumstances of which that game was played in or what was going on. So, you know, we've got to find a way to continue to practice good in the morning, have our fun, and then do what we got to do at night to get home and get in the bed and be ready for Friday because, you know, I want them to participate in all these things, but at the same time, I want them to understand their job, these 100 guys, is to win a football game on Friday night, and that's what matters, but also be involved in homecoming, but not overdo it.
You look at Jackson Olin against Mountain Brook this past week, you look at the end score, and it was lopsided, but it was a 7-0 game at the end of the first quarter, and if it wasn't for a special teams mistake and a couple other things that happened, they're in that ball game, and it's a whole different game there for them. And is that what you kind of have to get your kids to buy into this week, is don't look at the final score, look at the fact that before things got out of hand, that was a ball game, and they were playing neck and neck right there with Mountain Brook.
Yeah, and you're looking at a Mountain Brook team that could very well be in the finals in 6A, one of the best coached football teams in the state of Alabama. The kids are so smart, they execute so well, they play so hard. And that's just what I was talking about. You know, Jackson Olin is really, really good on defense. And if they get their offense going and don't make mistakes in the special teams, they are really, really, I mean, they are going to be a tough out. And we knew that when we scheduled them. When Coach Vakakis was there, we were in the region with them for 2 years, and just defensively, they were just unbelievable. And they're still the same way. So, you know, for them, I'm sure they're looking, you know, this team beat Pelham in overtime, and, you know, we beat Pelham 14-10 and held them, you know, in check all night long. I'm sure they're looking at that. So, you know, they're going to come in there in the first quarter, first half, and they're going to try to set the mark and see if we're willing to match it for 4 quarters. And, you know, if our kids are not rested, not hydrated, and ready to play ball, I'm telling you, we're going to be in trouble.
Could this be you know, we talked about Homewood being a trap game. Could this be a trap game for you guys because of it being homecoming and because it's just sandwiched in between some big region games for you guys?
Well, yeah, I mean, and you come off an emotional win against Pelham in the fashion we did, where it took every bit we had to get that win, and then you're sitting there with homecoming and you're worried about all the things that really don't matter when it comes to playing football Friday night. I would absolutely say this is a trap game that we're sitting in. You know, with Briarwood sitting there next week, I don't worry so much about us looking forward to Briarwood. I would just worry about us, what are we doing day in and day out this week? You know, because homecoming is so emotional. And I tell the kids all the time, it's like you've got to control your emotions throughout the day, especially on Friday. You can't get too excited at the pep rally, and then all of a sudden when it comes time to be really emotional at 7 p.m., you're basically out of it. So it is definitely a challenge, and it is not a typical team that you want to bring in and play on homecoming.
When you look at this group, you talked about them defensively. They got 2 guys that are Division I talents on that side, and it's kind of keeping them in check and doing things to confuse them. Is that going to be a key for you guys on Friday night? Yeah,
you know, they've got several defensive linemen up front that are probably some of the best that we have seen all year long, and they can stop the run, and they can do it all night long. They're big, they're fast, they're physical. You know, our keys are going to be, we're going to have to, you know, early on, you know, we can't get frustrated if they're shutting us down in some areas because, like I said, They're fast, they're physical, and it may take us a while to keep pounding and pounding and pounding. They do have some skill guys that go both ways, so hopefully fatigue may play a factor in that. But if we haven't done what we're supposed to do throughout this week as far as eating and drinking a lot of fluids, that's going to affect us too. So, it's going to be a game where we're going to have to play our best. We're going to stay focused on what we're doing. We're not going to have to. We can't panic if we get behind. We usually don't. But we can't make mistakes in the special teams area because they're too good for us to give them points. We can't give them anything. Defensively, we play like we should play. This could be a low-scoring football game and maybe come down to a kick at the end, which we're used to. So, till we walk on that field Friday night and I see what's in my guys' eyes, I really don't know where we'll be come Friday night, to be honest with you.
I can tell you one thing, you won't get to see it, but we were at the Mountain Brook game Thursday night, and their band's going to come in and put on a great show for your fans for homecoming on Friday night.
Yeah, they make a ton of noise wherever they go, and I've been able to go scout some games and see their band and Winona's bands and everything. They put on a show, and it's worth being there to see. And of course, we have a spectacular band, so it'll be a lot of fun in that area. Hopefully, we're in the locker room making the correct adjustments and that type of stuff. But for our fans, it'll be another exciting thing. And I want to tip my hat to the city of Helena. Our two home games these past 2 weeks, or this week and past week in Homewood, have been the two biggest gates they've had in school history. Last week, if you were at the game, there was nowhere else to go. The field was surrounded 4 and 5 deep, and a playoff atmosphere. It was a lot like going to Hoover back in the day when Rush was there. You just couldn't hardly get in the place or get around the field, and just for our kids to get to play in that atmosphere, it's second to none. And I want to thank them, the community, for being out supporting our kids and our band.
Coach, really appreciate you taking time again this week to join us here on Howlin with the Huskies, and good luck to you guys this Friday night. Going to be a really fun matchup there between you guys and Jackson Olin.
Thank you, Caleb. Go Huskies.
The Steakhouse of Helena is the place for community gatherings, rich history, and delectable made-from-scratch meals. Our professional staff is dedicated to serving you with the best steaks, chops, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and more. You'll enjoy a welcoming community atmosphere, local history, and enjoyable dishes you won't find anywhere else. Our restaurant is perfect for the entire family, business events, and special occasions. So come on down to the Steakhouse in historic Old Town Helena.
Welcome back in. Howlin with the Huskies. Caleb Brooks, now joined by quarterback coach at Helena, Nick Malantis. And Coach, for you guys, I just got done talking with Coach Busby about Dalton Llewellyn and just his progress as this year has gone on. He talked about he's a guy that came from a 1A school. They ran the ball a ton. He wasn't asked to throw the ball a lot, and he's had to kind of learn on the fly. Just talk a little bit about his development throughout this year from game 1 against Chelsea to now where you guys are at in this season.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, when you and I talked last, we talked about poise with Dalton. And that's where you really see him grow and develop is his poise and his leadership and all those intangible things that you can't just see on the field, the big arm and all that stuff that people want to see. But Dalton brings that poise and that just calmness to the offense. And you really saw that kind of come to fruition in the Chilton County game. We went out there and we kind of knew we were going to have to throw the ball around a little bit. And we put a lot on him that week. And he's really kind of excelled. And you kind of saw that light bulb click and his confidence just gets so much higher. And, we're asking him to make checks at the line now and get us into the right play. And he's just, pre-snap and all that good stuff. And he's doing just a great job with that. And you just see his confidence continuing to grow and grow and grow. I think this past week, I don't think we dropped the ball in practice all week. And that's unheard of. Right, just to go an entire week without a ball hitting the ground is awesome. So now we got to take that what we do in practice and then translate it to a game and get a little bit better and keep doing what we're doing in practice and continue to get better week in and week out. But yeah, he's been doing a really, really good job just being a leader and being our guy. So really proud of him, really proud of his development.
One of the biggest things that you look at as a coach when you're watching your guys is, especially a quarterback, winning the team over. And
Absolutely.
You feel like as the season's gone on that he is gradually winning this team over and becoming that leader for this offense?
No doubt, no doubt. Dalton's always been that guy for us. I mean, Dalton is the type of kid that people want to be around him. And the kids love him, and the kids want to be around him. The coaches want to be around him, which is awesome. I love being around Dalton. And then when you got somebody that just everybody gravitates towards, that just makes your job so much easier as a position coach, especially as a quarterback's coach, because you got a leader. You got somebody that's going to go out there and command the team, command the offense, and do what he needs to do. Dalton's the type of kid, too, that I get on him a lot. Oh, probably more than I probably should. But he always responds. He always responds. And when it's time to make a big throw or it's time to scramble around back there and make a play, Dalton makes the play. Early in the game last week, I was getting on him because he overthrew Hunter on a go ball. But then later on in the game, he throws a perfect one to Torrey Ward over there on going back towards the field house. And then he throws the game winner in overtime to Hunter again. So, he missed one early, and then he comes back and makes two spectacular throws and just absolutely commands the game and makes the big play when you need him to make the big play. So it's just, he's awesome to coach, man.
Talk about Hunter Hell. Talk about him and what he's really kind of meant for this offense over the last couple of weeks. You obviously Ward is a guy that going into the season everybody talked about, everybody had their eyes on. But now when you have a second guy like that can step up, that's got to help open up the offense.
Oh, no doubt. And Hunter is the best word to describe Hunter is versatile. Like, that kid could play any position on the field and be successful. He can go to receiver, line up all the way out on the outside, and run a quick out and then take it 50 yards. And then, he's done that 3 or 4 times in a game. And then the next thing you know, he's in the slot running a corner route for a big play. And then the next thing you know, he's playing safety and picking the ball off for a win. So he's really the type of kid that you can put him anywhere and he's going to be successful. He is just a gamer, a competitor, and just goes 100 miles an hour every day in practice, every day in the game, and he's somebody that we rely on a lot too. With Jordan being out, Hunter's been our guy that we're relying on, and he's just stepped up into that role, and he's wanted it. Hunter's the type of kid he wants that. He wants to be the guy. He wants to be successful. He wants to grind, and he wants to be in those positions to make plays. And I think we've seen that the past 2 weeks, so it's awesome to see.
Obviously, Dalton's kind of found a little bit of comfort in him as well, getting him the ball a lot, and anytime he's in trouble, that's who he's kind of looking to. How big is that for a quarterback to have a guy who, when they need to, they trust in him and they trust to be able to get him the ball?
Oh, man, it's huge. It's huge because, those two guys, they hang out all the time, outside of practice, outside of football. You see them walking the halls, and they're walking next to each other with Trip Bowler, another one of our receivers, and Hudson Pennington and Carson Agger. Those guys walk around and just kind of like a little group together, and they're always together, so they're always on the same page. And for whatever reason, when that ball goes in the air, Dalton just trusts Hunter to go up and make a play. No matter where that ball is, no matter who he's throwing it against, he knows and he trusts that Hunter's going to make a play, and that's huge for a quarterback. If I got confidence in my guy that he's going to win the ball or at least make sure it gets deflected down, I can play a lot more carefree and trust and not have to be so tight, and I can have that confidence and that cool composure that we always talk about. And when you have that, you get to play so much more freely, and it just helps so much.
Talked about a couple of weeks ago playing against Chilton County. You guys felt like going in, hey, we're going to throw the football in order to have success.
Yeah.
This week, you kind of have to feel like the same way with Jackson Olin. They shut down a really, really good running attack with Parker earlier, and even last week had success early against Mountain Brook, shutting it down. How does that change your preparation in the week with Dalton when you know going in, hey, we're going to have to probably rely on you a lot more?
It doesn't change, honestly, because like I said, a couple weeks ago and this week and then 3 weeks ago, we go into the week and prepare the exact same. Nothing's changing for us. We're not going to make it any bigger than it is or any smaller than it is. We're just going to go out and do our job. And we always have a really good plan to run the football. And I feel like we get a good plan together to throw it as well. And, we finally were able to do that in Chilton County, and we showed that we were capable of doing it. So now it's just a matter of going out and executing the game plan and really just kind of doing what we're coached to do every single day and kind of continuing to grow like we talked about earlier. And I think you saw that. Again, today we were 100% in 7-on-7. We were 100% in team. Ball didn't hit the ground. So we can go out there and do that. Jackson Olin, they got a big old defensive line. And those guys can run and tackle and fast and physical. So we're going to have to throw the ball. It's a part of it, and we're going to have to rely on that a lot more. And he knows that, and our receivers know that, and they're ready for the challenge. So it's going to be really exciting. We're going to see if we can air it out a little bit this week, and hopefully we can have that same success that we've had the past few weeks and keep rolling.
Give me your take on the experience in Pelham and Helena this past week and what that was like.
I played in some unbelievable atmospheres and coached in some unbelievable atmospheres. Coming from Clay Chalfant, we had some unbelievable games at Pinson. Coming from Georgia, the Alfreda Milton game when I was at Alfreda High School over there, some of those atmospheres were unbelievable. And I had some family come into town from Georgia to come to the Pelham game, and they said it was like a carnival out there. It was like a fair. They'd never seen so many people come to a high school football game, and you felt it. And I think late in the fourth quarter, I ran over to our band when they were driving down to tie the game. I ran over to our band and tried to get them all hyped up and stuff. And, that place was going nuts. It was unbelievable. Just the atmosphere of that game and just the communities coming together and cheering for Pelham, cheering for Helena. It was awesome to see. And if you don't want to be a part of that game, what do you want to be a part of? I think that might be one of the best rivalries in the entire state. It really might be.
Talk with Coach Busby about, look, this week's homecoming week. There's going to be a lot of distractions, and so is really kind of the biggest job of you guys as coaches is just trying to keep this team focused and not letting a lot of the outside stuff of homecoming week affect them.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, Coach Busby's done a great job of having a plan for how we're going to attack this week and what we're going to do from a logistical standpoint to keep our guys focused and keep our guys locked in. You're right. There's a lot of distractions homecoming week. The school's all decorated, and it's a game of life, and let the games begin. So there's banners all over the school and lights hanging down from the rafters and all sorts of cool stuff. And our school does an incredible job of promoting homecoming, and the events behind it are awesome. But Coach Busby's just come up with an incredible plan, and the logistics behind it have been great. And we've had 2 really good days of practice. We got to have another really good one tomorrow. We're going to show them some different looks offensively, and then kind of show them the defensive looks a little bit different tomorrow, so we can be ready for whatever we're going to get. And, if we can string together another good day, I'll feel good about what we're going into. But like I said, Jackson Olin, they're a big, strong, physical football team, and we just got to match that intensity. And hopefully we're able to do that.
You feel like getting a win here is important in the sense of kind of building momentum into the second half of the year where you guys are obviously trying to put yourselves in a good position to host a playoff game?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this one's going to be huge because if we can win this one and go into that second half of the season, that second half of region play, going in there 5-1, and we have a lot of confidence there. And the more confidence our kids play with, the better they play. You see that, we start to, we give up a touchdown, and then all of a sudden we're able to come back, and then again, we come back again, and we just build on leads, and we're able to come back in these games that we're behind in and go to overtime and win these overtime games. That's huge for our kids confidence-wise. They know they can do it, and they know when the game's on the line and when they need to go make a play, that they're going to go make a play because they've done it time and time again. Now, I might need some blood pressure medicine if we go to another overtime game. But, it's good for our kids because they're confident now because they've made the play when it matters. And they're able to do that, and they're able to see their success. And that's huge for them. And it's huge for us as coaches, too, because we trust them now.
What are your biggest keys offensively for Friday night?
If we can protect the football, we'll have a chance. Eliminate the turnovers, make the plays when we need to make them, throw the ball when we need to throw it, and just play throw and catch like we've done the past few weeks. Play pitch and catch the ball when it's thrown to us, make the right decisions from the quarterback standpoint. Dalton's not the tallest guy in the world, so we've been harping a lot the past few weeks on getting depth so he can see it over the line and really getting his footwork tuned in and honed in. And if he can do all those little things right and control the offense like he's done, we have a chance to be successful. We have a chance to put up points. That's any team. That's not just Jackson Olin. That's any team. If we just do what we're supposed to do and do our job and focus on the details and dominate those details every play in and play out, we have a chance to play with anybody. And I truly believe that. So, that's going to be huge for us is just dominating those details, doing the little things right. And if we can take care of the football, we have a shot. Our defense plays a tremendous brand of football, and they do a really, really great job. So, if we can just control it, we'll be all right.
How fun has it been to watch A.J. Horsted the last couple of weeks?
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. And A.J.'s like I don't even know how you describe A.J. He's like a little road runner, man. He hits the hole so hard and so fast. He gets out in that open field and you never know if he's going to break it, or if it's going to be a 50-yard gain, or he's going to run somebody over. And he just runs so hard, and he never takes a play off. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen, but the past 2 games he's been on the field for every offensive snap, and he doesn't come out. And he can carry the ball 5 or 6 times in a row. And you look over, hey AJ, you need one? He's like, no, I'm good. He's just cool, calm, and collected the whole time. And he's going to run the ball just as hard on that 7th or 8th carry of the drive that he did on the first carry of the drive. So he's awesome to watch, man. He's awesome to coach. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always trying to be coached. He always wants to be coached. Coach Beal does a great job coaching him up. And, he's a sponge. He absorbs everything and just wants to be good, which is awesome.
Coach, really appreciate you taking the time again this week to sit down and join us on Howlin with the Huskies, and good luck this Friday against Jackson Olin.
Thank you, man. Can't wait to do it again.
Yes, sir.
Go Huskies.
That's going to do it for us here on Howlin with the Huskies. We will be back next week to recap the game with Jackson Olin and start getting you prepared for Helena against Briarwood next Friday. See you next week.
The Steakhouse of Helena is the place for community gatherings, rich history, and delectable, made-from-scratch meals. Our professional staff is dedicated to serving you with the best steaks, chops, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and more. You'll enjoy a welcoming community atmosphere, local history, and enjoyable dishes you won't find anywhere else. Our restaurant is perfect for the entire family, business events, and special occasions. So come on down to the Steakhouse in historic Old Town Helena.